So what you're going to do is you're going to cover up 80% of this. So you're going to go like this, and then you're going to leave a little bit of dark on the left. See how it makes it look three-dimensional? That dark represents how thick or how wide the headstone is. So you're going to do that on all of them, okay? So the larger ones, obviously, you're going to put a little bit more paint on. As you start working back, they get smaller. You have to do less. And those way in the background, you do really, really less. Now, if your fence goes across one of them, just kind of paint around your fence.
So does the three-dimensional part get to be on the same side, the part you leave on the same?
Yeah, so you want to leave the dark on the left side. Yep. And the reason that is because where we have the moon at. So while this is not like, it's kind of like low direct sunlight where you're getting that little bit of light coming off the moon. It's not like like during the day when you have the bright sun out, but you're getting a little bit of light because of the moon. And again, just paint around your fence if you happen to go over that. Now remember, these are all older headstones, don't need to be painted perfect. Right? Remember, 1543 is when they made this cemetery. And as you go back, they get less and less highlights because they get so small that you don't have to do a lot. So just leave a little sliver of dark on your left-hand side.
I'm messing this up big time.
You just gotta fill that in. You're leaving dark on the left, but don't make it
Oh,
look
you
like
want
it's
the whole thing filled
yeah.
up?
See how you fill it all in?
Okay.
Purple. Add more white to it. Three-quarters or even a squidgen more, yeah. So remember, everyone's got to have highlights. Everyone's got to have dark on the left. You got dark on the left, hon? Oh, that's beautiful right there. Look at you. You might be a cemetery painter.
I wish I'd only put 2 tombstones in now.
Did you notice how I didn't mention that to begin with? I probably forgot, you little underachiever, you. But see, in the end, you'll be glad you have 106 of them. You probably won't, but. So remember, every one of those, you're going to cover most of it up except leaving a little bit of dark on the left side. And again, that represents how thick.
I should have probably not covered this.
But that's okay, because it'll look like the fence got broken. And I'll show you when we highlight that how it'll turn out just fine.
Okay, so this one, just go here and leave.
Yeah. So that one you want to look like the fence is in front of it. So you're just going to paint where you don't see fence at on that one. Okay?
Just not gonna worry about it.
And you shouldn't worry about it. It's a beautiful thing. And actually, the more relaxed you paint and the more carefree and let it happen kind of an attitude, the better it's going to look. When you're focusing really close and your eyeballs, your eyelashes are touching the canvas, that's when you're trying too hard. Remember, this is art, this isn't photography. So let it look like a painting. Haystacks. Look at that beautiful cemetery.
Got a lot of dead people.
That's usually who you'll find in there, hon. Yep. It's very consistent. You can go from different states and it's the same thing. You don't know what you're doing anymore? Wow.
There's the blue and there was the
Yeah.
white.
Let's
I don't
do.
know what I'm doing.
It's going to be great, hon. I think you covered up a lot of your dark. They look like little fortune
Well, I
cookies.
don't know how that blue got.
We're not worried about that, remember? That's going to get all dark. Yeah? So all it is you just covered up a little bit too much dark. So I'll give you an example. So over here,
Oh. It just didn't look like tombstones.
nope. Good looking fortune cookies though. So you just got to put dark back on the left side,
Okay,
like that, okay?
okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Easy peasy. And that's a common thing when you do highlights on things, you end up covering up too much of the dark. That happens all the time, doesn't matter what you do.
I don't know if that's a tombstone or not. So I didn't do nothing to it.
Okay. So you elected that it was a tombstone?
Like
Nope, that's great, just like that. Which one, hon? Oh, you got to do something with that one.
okay.
I think what you got to do is reshape it. Go ahead and put the highlight on and see how it kind of, well, maybe you could just leave it like that. Looks like it's all broken up. That'll look older. Just make sure you're leaving dark right there and cover up the other 75%. It'd be easier if you had paint on your brush, you know what I'm saying? Don't. And if you want, add just a little touch of water and it'll come off your brush a little bit easier. You kind of can control it more. All right, so remember, keep that color on your brush. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work on the fence. So now with that gray color you just used, you're going to put a little bit of brown into that. Because we want this to look different than the headstones. We don't want it to look like it's the same thing. So you got a little bit of brown into that gray color, right? Okay. Now we're going to do the post first, and this goes on the right-hand side, just like you did the right-hand side of the headstones. So it's just, all you got to do, it goes really quick, you just do this. And don't clean out your brush. Next we're going to do the crossbar after this. And you got to remain calm. We're going to have to give her one of those little purple pills to calm her down, probably. Yeah. It's going to be great. Oh, yeah. You owe him $20.
But see, I got that going across.
Yeah, but we don't care about that.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Well, I don't. I mean, it's your painting, so it doesn't bother me one way or the other. No, that's okay, because it looks like there's no cross pieces there. So just do your post. Look at that beautiful thing. Yeah, we'll do the cross pieces after the post. All right?
Where are we supposed to do this?
Good thing we're doing a cemetery painting. Right-hand side while your post.
Oh, okay, just half?
Yep.
You know, no one in town's allowed to be buried there. You know why?
What's that?
Because they're still alive.
Wow. There you go. That's your comedy relief, the seventh inning stretch. So you waited all the time for me, huh? That's sweet. So you did the right side of all your posts, yeah?
I need more brown so that some of the wood will show.
Some of the other wood? So you covered up all the dark? We'll take care of that soon. It's going to be great. And tell her it's going to be great.
It's our first time.
That's right. So now you're going to do the cross pieces. All right, same color. And this just goes on the top of all your cross pieces. And this does not need to be a consistent stroke. Sometimes you could have a wide stroke, sometimes it could be very narrow. If you've painted around your headstones, make sure you bring this across them so it pushes those back.
That's a mess.
No, that's money. Cha-ching.
Not so good.
That's layers of cash. That's like $14 bills in a stack
Yeah.
this high.
Sounds good.
That's a lot of money when you think about it.
See,
Oh, that's perfect.
Okay, what do I do with these?
because see,
Beans?
this is, the highlights.
Well, and I'll tell you,
Do I do anything with this?
yep, right across the top of those. And see how it pushes the headstone back? See, it looks like it's behind the fence now?
Okay.
Where that big gnarly tree we're going to put in is going to go right in here, so some of that might get covered up. Yep. And wait till you see how we do that. This will be an advanced technique when we get to the gnarly tree. It's perfect. Wait till you take that down to New Orleans there. They got a lot of cemeteries down there. But they're all above the ground in New Orleans. Did you know that? It's true, because the water table is so high. And if you go on a tour, they'll tell you that the city, well, you know this from that hurricane, is actually, I think they said, is 10 feet lower than sea level. And they've got like 100 pumps that are underground that are over 100 years old, and they're pumping water out of that soil 24 hours a day. It's crazy. All right, clean out your little brush when you're done. Now we're going to go back to the big brush. Now remember when we did that green and blue that was around our path? And I said, don't worry about how it looks at this point because we're going to go through with another coat of paint. That time has come. So you're going to go back to blue and green, half and half, and all you're going to do is paint over what you just did. This is going to be darker. Make sure you bring this up over the bottom of your fence post so it looks like they're sitting down in the grass. And you'll see that this will make a darker color and will cover up any imperfections that you had originally, which we all did. See how much darker that looks?
Dark, dark. Now we're going to the whole thing? or-
You're painting right over top of what you
The whole
did.
thing.
All this on both sides, yep.
Okay.
And that will darken the color and make it look more consistent. Because right now we got areas where it's lighter and it's greener and bluer. This will kind of bring it all together. And you're just going to paint right over what that blue-green is that you put in originally on both sides of your path, below the fence. That's right. You got this little swirly stroke going on
I
there.
know, you know
Van
what?
Gogh did the same thing. You know
I
Van
think,
Gogh?
you know what, it's got something to do with my artistic touch that I really,
And your left-handedness?
yes,
Yeah. Oh,
I like it.
Yeah.
I my grass in circles.
wow. Little loopy grass? Yeah. You don't see that very often. Out in Nebraska, they got some of that, I think.
Should you go,
Go right to the edge.
okay.
Unless you're planning on framing it, which obviously you guys are.
Of course.
I mean, you're not going to get that
Mine's
cool.
gonna be in the museum.
You're not going to get 14 big ones with no frame.
You got that right.
Yeah.
Gotta be a nice frame.
Got to be a nice frame. You got to spend more than $3 on it. When you have both sides covered up, clean out your big brush. We're going to stay with the big brush. And our next step is to put that fog that's going to cruise through the cemetery.
What in through the
Fog. It's probably my accent that throws you off. Originally, Auburn Hills. It's true. It's where I grew up at. But that's south of Flint, so I got that little southern twang deal thing going on.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Where were you born, hon?
Pennsylvania.
Well, that's not your fault. That's just where your parents were. Did you live by Hershey?
No, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yes,
Is your favorite team the Steelers?
of course.
I'm a real diehard. PA everybody.
You love the Lions? Why is that, hon?
I like Stafford,
You do?
She Lions are doing
and I
better.
like Melvin because he saved him in that game with the Eagles.
Yeah, the Lions are doing good now. Just give them a few more games. They'll get back to that 8-8 that they always do ever since 1952.
But he was here last year, so it takes a while. You can't just have a magnificent team in one season.
That's right. Well, and you should, hon. All right, clean out your big brush when you're done. Now I'm going to walk you through the steps that it's going to take to put our fog in. We'll talk about colors in a little bit, okay? We're going to mix our color combination with the big brush as you normally would hold the brush, right? And how you've been doing it all day long, just like that. When it comes time for us to put the paint on the canvas, that's when we're going to switch over and use the brush like the Statue of Liberty holds a torch. It only will work if you do that. If you hold it like this when we do the fog, it will not work, believe me. Because what happens is that the canvas has a series of weaves to it, right? And when you don't paint it real well, the canvas kind of comes through. So then you have to push down and get more paint in there. But now what we want to do is by using the side of the brush and holding it like this, we want to kind of be parallel to the canvas, and we want to just actually put a little bit of color on the top weave. And if we can keep it from going down in there, everything that we've done so far will look like it's transparent going through that fog. Okay, doke? So when we go to paint, we got to make sure we do this, and then you're going to be using that flat side of the brush, the edge, and just going to lightly mop over top of that. Now to make the fog when you do this, we're going to go like this, and you're just going to make a series of little swirls. Those in art are called swirladoos. Now that could be. And that way you can kind of get that bellowing look, right? So, the side of the brush? Yeah, not the end of the brush, the side of it. So where we come back to where the grass and the trees meet, we need to bring this fog up over the bottom part of our trees as well. Because fog wouldn't, if those were trees and this is ground, the fog wouldn't stop there, right? It would be up like this. So you're going to end up covering some of your trees. So everything that's in that cemetery area is going to get this fog. We're going over headstones, going over the path, going over the bottom of the trees, okay? So that's how we'll do it. So let's talk about the paint now. So you're going to get a little bit of white and a very small touch of blue and mix in there. If we just use white, it comes out too chalky, it doesn't look good. So you're going to get a little bit of white, little touch of blue, again, maybe like a little baby blue kind of color. When you've got that, don't clean out your brush. So we're going to start up here. Now remember, we're focusing on just the cemetery part. So in between our fences, across the path, over the headstones, over the bottom of our trees. Okie doke? Very light strokes, making little circular strokes, and keep your brush moving. Now because there's so much water in this, when it dries, that will help the transparency of this. So are you seeing anything as you're scrubbing? Then you need to put a little bit more in your brush. You either wiped out too much or you didn't have much in there. But again, make little swirly strokes so you get that little impression of movement. all over the cemetery. So behind the fence, over your headstones, over the path that's in the cemetery, over the bottom of your trees, over little cats that might be cruising through there. You own cats, hon?
I do like one.
One?
Yours looks good. You look like you know what you're doing.
No, hon, accidents happen right there, you know. You making swirls, hon?
Yeah.
You're swooping.
Is that okay?
No.
No.
You want to de-swoop.
Oh, straight.
Like, nope, like this.
Oh, yeah, little curlicues.
The curlicues. That's right. There you go, hon. Keep working that down. Oh, that's fine. Work it down and across, just like you're doing. Yes. Now go up on your trees a little bit higher. Turn that on the other side of your brush. There you go. Now you're cooking. Look at you go, hon. You're a fogger. Well, nope, stay in the cemetery. Don't get out there in the grass.
Across
Yep.
the path too?
Cross the path. Everything that's in your cemetery you need to go over. Just like that. Where's your cemetery, hon?
I know, it disappeared.
Wow. Yep, you don't see that a lot. You have fogged up your cemetery. Clean out your big brush. And our last thing that we need to do is to put in that gnarly tree. Now, some of you will think that trees are hard. That it's going to be great. Because you can't screw up a gnarly tree. And I'm going to show you how easy it is by giving you helpful hints to achieve the gnarliness. Now, before, I had mentioned this technique is somewhat complicated in the fact that it's not only just the brush technique, but there's an audio part of this that comes from each of you, deep down inside. And then I've noticed when I do this, the people that don't do the audio part, they don't look very gnarly. Well, not them, but the trees don't look gnarly. So it's important to do the sound. So I'm going to show you the technique first, and then we'll talk about the sound. That's going to be great. So, we're going to use a small brush, but I'm showing you the large brush so you can see what we're doing. All right? So the tree is going to go over here, and it's going to come down into your dark green that we did. And all you're doing is just wiggling this thing. So you don't want to go like it's a maple tree. You want to get this old thing, so you're just wiggling your brush to get it gnarly edges on it. All right? So the first class I did, we didn't do the audio part because I didn't know we had to. So I showed them the wiggle stroke, and some were finding it challenging. So I grabbed the brush, and I said, you got to do it like this. And then I had this sound come out. I don't know where it came from, but it sounds like an alien. And you all know what those sound like. So once they started making the sound in classes after that, they were gnarling like there was no tomorrow. So here's the sound. This is all advanced art right here, honey. So you're doing that sound as you're making the strokes. So let's practice the sound together. Hon, I didn't hear anything coming up out of you. Whatever. Yeah. She's got to get on a larynx thing right there. All right. So as you're doing the stroke, the sound has to go with it. I bet they won't do it. Blue and brown. Little brush, half and half works out just fine. Little brush. In fact, if you want to go a little bit more on the brown side, that'd be perfect. So if you did like 40% of this is blue, 60% is brown. That's what he said. I just heard him say it. If I hadn't have been standing right next to me, I wouldn't have heard it. Blue and brown. See, hon, look at even left-handers can do this.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. Remember the questions you had early on? I did. Yep, a little bit more brown than blue. And just stir it up. You don't need to blend this well, which means you don't have to overly blend it. If you just stir it up a little bit, you'll get all those little variations of colors that'll come on your canvas. If you're blending it for 20 minutes, this is going to be a flat color. All right, you ready? Now, you don't have to make the shape of tree that I do. That's not important. You can shape your tree however you want. It's that we want it on the left-hand side of the canvas, and we want it to come down in this dark green. Okey-doke?
How far into the trees?
Over the trees.
Oh, all the way from the top?
All the way from the top. All the way over the clouds, because that'll push that back. It's shocking, isn't it, hon? Wait till you make this sound. It'll be great. All right, you ready? You guys are really good. You might be the best little gnarlers I've heard yet so far. Yep. Hon, you might be an advanced gnarler. We're doing the trunk and we're going to do some branches, yeah. You want me to show you what I got so far? Hon, you took like gnarling to a different level.
Oh, you made two things.
Well, that was just me. You don't have to do that. I mean, if you want to, you can. But you don't have to make it just like mine. That's not what's important. It's more important where it's at and how far it comes down.
Sounds like my cat.
Is that electronic gnarler? Oh, that was you. Oh, I thought you came out of your phone there.
Oh, and then we can go up again.
Yep, bring yours down lower.
Okay.
But you can have another section of trunk if you want. That's up to you, however you want to do it. Down into the dark green though, yep. And then, if you want to make some thinner branches, add a little bit of water to your brush. Same color. If you want to do a thinner branch, add a little bit of water to your paint. Hon, I haven't heard you make a little yet.
No.
Hon, your tongue shot out when you did that right there. Yeah. You gonna make the sound, hon? And that's, to the ultimate gnarlement, you can clean out your brush, and this little rascal is ready for you to sign, frame, and sell. And what is the price that we're going to start at? 14 big ones. That gives you a little room to negotiate. Hon, you got to aim high. See, the thing is, if somebody says like, well, how much is that painting right there? You go, 14,000. They go like, well, I only got 10. Will you take that? And you go, yeah, sure. Then you walk off with 10,000. And that'll pay for the rest of your classes for the next couple months.
Mine ain't gonna make it home.
Oh, hon, they will. Wait till your family sees that. They're going to go like, wow.
They'll fight over
They're going to think, they'll probably go, that's good looking.
They'll go, what?
It's a beautiful gift.
What'd you pay for that?
All right, again, when you got yours done, clean out your little brush. And what I do at the end of every class is get each one of them, hold them back so you see it away from you so you can take in the splendor that you've just created. No, I bet you I won't, hon. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
This thing's glued down right there. This is like theft-proofed or something. All right. Here's our first one. See what I'm telling you? Watch the sides, son. It's still wet. Remember, there's evaluation forms on the table. Dawn would appreciate it greatly if you could fill those out.